Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the pattern for the Spiral Elegance kit. The needle that is included with your kit will depend on which size you order. So I'm going to be showing you right now the small. So I have 15-0 seed beads. These are gold, and I'll call them fill beads because they go in between the main colors. And then I have 3 main color beads, which are sized at 11-0. So because the 15-0 beads are so small, some of the needles won't fit through the bead. So the needle that's going to come with the 15-0 is the one that splits in the middle, because it doesn't have an eye at the end of the needle, and the eye is what gets stuck in the 15-0 seed beads. So you're just gonna put your fingernail in there and separate that, and put your thread, see if I can show you, coming up through there, through the center. Okay, so to get started, we're going to thread our first main color onto our needle, and then we're going to thread 2 of the gold fill beads. So we've got our first main color, which is the light blue, and 2 gold fill beads. And then we're going to do the same with our second main color, which is light purple, and 2 gold fill beads. And then our third main color, which is peach, and 2 gold fill beads. So I want to pull these down to the end, pulling my thread through there, and I want to leave at least 8 inches on the end, so that when I go to finish off the bracelet, I have enough on the end of the bracelet to add the clasp. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back through. So here's the tail, here's the end. I'm going to go back through the first bead I put on, and I'm going to go through all of the beads that I've got here, and pull this through all of them. And pull this into a loop. I'm going to tighten that there. And I've got a loop here. And then I'm going to go back through the blue one again, and 1 of the gold fill beads. So I went back through all of them, and now this time I'm going to go back through the blue and just the first gold fill bead. Okay, so I have my needle just going back through the blue and 1 of the gold fill beads next to it. So I'm going to pull my needle through there. And now I've got a nice little loop of beads, and this is going to be the base of my bracelet that I'm working on. And so most times when you're beading, you're working out, and this time with this Spiral Elegance bracelet, we're going to be working up. So we're going to be stacking beads on top of this row that we made, going up. Okay, so that makes this bracelet a little bit difficult, and I think this is the reason that this is labeled an advanced design, especially if you have not done it before and you're kind of new to beading. But we're going to show you very detailed instructions on how to do this bracelet. Okay, so just a couple of things. When I say I'm looking forward, what I mean is I'm looking at the next bead. If you think about going counterclockwise around this little circle, so forward, I'm looking forward at my next main color, and that is the light purple here. So that is the one that I'm going to put on my needle next. I'm going to put a light purple, and again I'm going to put 2 of the gold fill beads. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is my thread's coming out right here in between these 2 gold beads. I'm going to skip over this next gold fill bead. I'm skipping over the light purple, and I'm going in to the next gold bead, and that is the only bead I'm going to go through. So this is what my needle looks like. I've skipped over 2 beads, one of the gold and the light purple. And I'm going to go through that next gold and pull my thread through. And this is what you're going to see. It's gonna end up sitting next to the purple. Well, like I said, what we want to do is build on top. So you want to use your finger to push this on top of the bead that was already there. Now it's going to take a couple rows before, or 1 or 2 rows to get this to stay up there. So don't really worry about it just yet. But just so you know, we're going to be pushing this new row that we've created on top of the original circle that was there. Okay. So now looking forward, I'm coming out here and I want to skip over this bead, this gold fill. The next one is a peach colored main color bead. So that's the one I want to pick up, but I'm going to skip over this one and go through the next gold fill bead. So let me pick up a peach bead and 2 of the gold fill beads. And there they are. Okay, so once again, close up. I'm skipping over this next gold bead, skipping over the peach bead, and going through the next following gold fill bead. And that is the only thing I'm going through with my needle. Okay. So I've kind of got my thumb, just so you can see this, pushed up against that purple we just laid on top of there, just kind of holding it on top. Pulling the thread through, you're going to see that peach wants to sit next to the one I just did, and I'm going to push it on top and kind of tug on this string a little bit to make sure it's tight, and then I'll show you. So there it is. So I've got a purple one sitting on top and a peach one sitting on top, but when you look at it from the top, it's kind of hard to tell because they're sitting right on top of the original circle. All right, so I've done my first 2 main colors on what I'm calling my second row. So the original circle was my first row, and now I'm on my second row. I've done the light purple, I've done the peach, and now I've got the light blue coming up next. And this is the last one in my row. So I'm going to pick up a light blue and 2 gold seed beads. Now, it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to skip this one again, the gold, and I'm going to skip the blue just like I did on the previous 2, but the one I want to go through is kind of underneath that purple there, if you can see that. So that's the one I want to go through, so I'm going to kind of twist it sideways so you can see. I'm going to get that needle through that one. But that is not the only one I want to go through this time. So I'm on the last bead of my second row. I'm on that 3rd main color bead. I want to close this second row loop. but I want to end up on top of my work so I can end up stacking another row as I'm working up. So I want to go through this purple bead that's there next to that seed bead and the following gold fill bead. If you can do this all at once, it will look like this. If you have to pull it through this first bead first and then put your needle back through these two, that's fine. I just like to do it all at once. So I've got it like that. Remember, this is my last main color in my second row, and I'm gonna pull my string through and see it's sitting next to the blue one. Again, I want to push that up so that it's stacked on top. And I'm gonna tug, I kind of hold it like this. I know it looks like a triangle, but it'll end up as a circular shape as you keep going. So I'm gonna just tug at that to make sure it's tight, and then I'll show it to you. So here's the bottom, and you can kind of see there are two rows, one stacked on top of the other. So that's the very beginning of this Spiral Elegance bracelet. And now we're just going to continue to repeat this process over and over until we get the bracelet the length that you would like it. So I'm looking forward from where my string's coming out, and I see the peach main color bead. So that's what I want to put on my needle. And two of the gold fill beads. Okay. And again, I'm going to, here's my thread, I'm going to skip over this next gold fill bead right here, skip over the peach, and go through this next gold fill bead here. So here we go. Going through there. And I'm going to pull that through. And now it kind of tends to sit on top now that I've kind of got it going. So now it's kind of sitting on top and starting to form the third row of this Spiral Elegance. So by third row, I mean, here's the first peach one at the bottom, here's the second row peach one, and now I just put the third row. And so as it's stacked, you can see it's kind of starting to stack up. Okay. So looking forward, I see a light blue bead here. So that's what I'm going to put on my needle. And two of the gold fill beads. And I'm going to skip this gold fill bead, skip the light blue, and go through the next gold fill bead. There we go. And now in row 3, I have done two of my main colors. I've done the peach and the light blue, and looking forward, my third and final main color to finish this third row is the light purple. So we want to grab that and two of the gold fill beads. All right, so here's this, we're on our third one, we're closing up, we're ending this third row. So this is where I'm going to skip over this fill bead, skip over the purple, and go through this one that's kind of sitting underneath that peach one a little bit. I'm gonna go through there, go through the peach, and if I can get it through at the same time, I'm gonna go through the next gold seed bead after the peach. So I've gone through 3 beads, and you're always going to do this as you're finishing up each row, as you're finishing the last main color on each row. So we're finishing up row 3. I'm gonna pull this through. And again, kind of holding the work between my 3 fingers here and tugging on the string here. I'm tightening up the work and kind of holding it so that it's stacked on top of each other. And now we've got 3 rows stacked, and you can kind of see it starting to take form. Okay, so let's do one more row and give you one more row of practice. So, which bead am I going to want to pick up next? Well, I'm looking forward counterclockwise and I see a light blue. So that's the one I'm going to put on my needle. And then I'm going to get 2 of the gold fill beads. On there. Okay. So here's my thread coming out here. Skipping this gold fill bead, skipping the light blue, going through this one only. So this is the first bead on my 4th row. And I'm going through that one. And I'm going to pull it. And as you can see, it just kind of, it's naturally stacking on top now as I'm holding it. All right, so next color. I'm looking at the light purple here. So I'm going to grab a light purple and 2 of the gold fill beads. Okay. Skipping over this gold fill bead, skipping over the light purple, going through this gold fill bead right here. And this is the second main color in row 4. So I know the one coming up is where I'm going to go through the 3 beads so that I can complete that row. All right, looking forward, I can see that my peach color bead is next. So I need a peach color bead and 2 of the gold fill beads. Okay. All right, so here's that process again of going through 3 beads. So I know I want to skip. Here's my thread coming out. I know I want to skip this next gold fill bead, and I want to skip the peach, and I want to go through this next gold fill bead right here. I also want to go through the blue and the following gold fill bead. So I need to go through all 3 of those. And again, you don't have to do all 3 at the same time. And when you're starting out, maybe you won't, but I just find it much easier to go through all 3 of them. So as you can see, my needle's through those 3. And I'm going to pull it through. And holding this, I'm going to just kind of tug on my string to tighten it a little bit. And that's row 4. Row 4 is now finished. And now you can really start to see it taking shape. So that is the process for adding each row on the Spiral Elegance. And you just, like I said, repeat that process until you have it as long as you would like for your wrist or whoever you're making the bracelet for. I'm going to show you a couple of the ones that I have completed. I have to be honest and say that my kitty cat ran off with a couple of my samples. So that just reminded me to highlight the fact that no matter if your little ones are human or not, it's a good idea to put all your things away so that they cannot be gotten by anyone that should not have them. So I'll show you the couple that I have left. The one that I did with the rondelles was one of the ones that was taken. But this is one that was done with 8/0 and 11/0 seed beads. And this is also 8/0 and 11/0 seed beads. And same with this one. So I honestly really feel like using the 15-0 and 11-0 is actually a little bit easier, even though it's a lot tinier. It's a little bit easier to keep your beads and hold your work all together. Okay, so as the beads get a little bit larger, it just, I find it a little harder because I feel like these are so tiny, they just scrunch together so well. But if you're using, and especially with the rondelles, if you order the rondelle kit, it's the same exact process. There's nothing different about it, except that the beads are a little larger. You're gonna hold it the same way. It's just that they're not gonna squeeze together as tightly. Doesn't mean you're doing anything incorrectly, it just means it's not as tight. So you can see, I mean, this is really tight together. The larger beads don't sit as tightly as the smaller beads do together. So, but they're all really beautiful when you get them finished. So you're just gonna complete that process. And then right now I'm gonna show you how to finish off each end of your Spiral Elegance. Okay, so in your kit, you will have a wire guardian and you will have a magnetic clasp. And so what you're gonna do is you're going to take your needle off the other end, or depending on which end you're finishing off. I'm gonna do that starting end right now, because as you can see, I haven't finished the bracelet yet, but I wanna show you how to close this off. So you're gonna thread that end through your needle. Like that. And I'm going to pick up 3 of the gold fill beads. Okay. And then I'm going to pick up my wire guardian. I'm going to go back through the other side of my wire guardian. Now I'm going to pick up my magnetic clasp, and it's got a jump ring, so I'm just going to go through the jump ring and make sure that that jump ring gets slid into the wire guardian here like that. And then I'm going to pick up 3 more seed beads. And these are the gold fill beads. And now I'm going to go through a bead that's on the opposite side of the other 3 seed beads that I put. So over here on this side, because these are on this side. I'm going to go through the purple. And one of the gold fill beads for now. And once I pull that tight, you can see that I've got my wire guardian and this half of my clasp on this end of the bracelet. Now, some design tips: if you would like to put more seed beads here, you are welcome to. If you'd like to put some of the larger seed beads and then smaller seed beads to have just a little bit of a linear pattern there at first, that's again one of the great things about making your own jewelry, is you can pretty much be creative and make it look the way you want it to look. And you can always undo it if you don't like it. You can always just take the needle off, take the beads off, and try a different pattern. So now we're going to need to make sure that this end of the wire is secure. So what we're gonna do is we're going to put the needle in between these beads here. Try to get a close up here. All right, so I've got my needle through here where there's already an existing thread, and I'm gonna make a knot. So I'm gonna pull that through and you'll see it's creating this loop here. So then I'm gonna take my needle through the loop and that's gonna create a knot. Like that. And then just to make it sure it's even more secure, you can go through a few more beads and tie it off again. So and go through a couple more of these gold seed beads. And then you'll just do the same thing, create a loop and tie it off again. So of course your bracelet will be much longer than mine is, but that just helps to make your bracelet more secure if you go through a few more beads and then make another knot. So I'm gonna go through just between that thread there, between these beads, make a little loop, pass my needle back through that loop, and just pull it tight. And if this is the last one you're gonna do, you probably wanna do that twice so you can go back through and make a double knot if you want. And if you have a little bit of hypo cement or even super glue, once you cut this string, so you're just gonna need some regular scissors and you're gonna cut the string off as close to the work as you can. Once you do that, you can just dab a little bit of glue on there. Oops. My scissors are needing to be sharpened. Okay, this is odd. My scissors are not cutting right at the moment. Okay, finally. All right, so I cut it off really close. You can't really see it. But if you would like to, you can just dab a little cement or super glue on that knot that you created. It's right there. It's just really hard to see. Just to make sure it's extra secure. So now what I can do is, ideally you'll do that after you have your bracelet already, as long as you want it, but you don't have to. You can do it whenever you like. But that's how you finish off each end of the Spiral Elegance. So each end will be the exact same process that I just showed you. And then once you're finished, I'll show you one that's finished again. You will have them finished at both ends like this. And the bracelet will just kind of come together and snap on with the magnets very easily like that. And there is your Spiral Elegance bracelet. If you have any questions, please message us below, or you can visit our website at www.wkbeads.com. This is Wendy with WK Beads. Thanks for watching.